It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today. I'm B Ron. Alongside me is my co-host Yells. Good morning, man. Happy Wednesday. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I just want to let
Good.
everybody know too. B-Ron, y'all know him as a generally happy guy, and he is. But you have no idea the crazy things I do before this show starts to make sure B-Ron gets, so that smiles there. It gets pretty
Yeah, a
goofy.
little smile there. Yeah,
It gets
we,
pretty
we we can
goofy.
be a little goofy at times, but
Yeah,
uh, there's a time and a place for everything.
yeah,
Before the show comes on, that's the time and the place for it.
yep, yep.
Right now, let's get serious. I don't know. It's an awful intro. It's fine. Let's get into our topics for today, though, shall we? The Queen City Kings dropped their third in a row last night. Lakeshore Drive and or to the Indy Stripes, or rather, and that game was yeah, it was rough, man. It was rough for Queen City. They had things going throughout the game, though. You see a 3-pointer there fall. They were in the game and they had their spurts back and forth, but they just couldn't put it away here at the end of it. Saw that third quarter bucket there, and here's Dylan Harper down the stretch here, minute and 40 to go in the fourth quarter, using the screen and going all the way to the basket. And that said, Indy Stripes got the win, puts Queen City at 1-4 now on the season. And that's you know, is it time to really start worrying about the Kings? Because we knew coming into the game last night that there's some changes that are going to be made to the game plan and that kind of stuff, and it didn't result in a win. They had some positives coming out of it, I think, but with everything that's going on to start the season, with all the hype coming into the season for this roster that Coach Key had constructed, is it really time now, with their third loss in a row, dropping to 1-4 in the season? Is it time for us to start worrying about the Kings?
You know, B-Ron, so when we talk about these things, sometimes I feel like my points are oxymorons or they're the complete antithesis of things that I may have said in days prior. But there's slight differences. So when we talk
Mm-hmm.
Queen City Kings, I'm not going to say it's time to panic yet. And here's why. When I look at some of the other teams where we've said it's time to panic, it's because these teams seem to have no clue what their identity is, or they figured out their identity and it has not panned out. It hasn't worked well. When I look at the
Mm-hmm.
Queen City Kings, I see there's an identity there. I can see a few things, but I think coach is still tinkering. Last night, I think it's clear to see for the entire league, for the entire country, the world, what have you. Marco Jacobs is a star. Marco Jacobs
Yeah.
can ball. He put up 22 points. 22 points in the
Mm-hmm.
in the first half alone. Now he didn't do so great in the second half. I think coming into the season, we thought Sky Durant was going to play a bigger role. He has not. He has not been efficient. He has not been efficient at all, actually. So there's some changes. There's some change, of course. I think coaches played with there. And then on the other end, you got Renzo Bryant, Nick Hugo, Carter Fields. Have not seen them take as big a role as you would like to see. Like to see them get going in the pick and roll and just really have
Yeah.
some space. But last night, what I'm saying is, I say all that to say I saw Marco Jacobs go crazy. I saw Carter Fields and Nick Hugo getting more involved in the pick and roll,
Yeah.
but not all the way there. I think what went wrong last night, and as coach kept tinkering, like that half court trap they went into, I think it had a purpose. But it definitely ran its course quickly in the game. Half court trap, full court trap are not things that you can run for an entire game, in my opinion. Long story short, I'm not panicking on Queen City yet. I think there's a few things for him to figure out. He obviously has a star over there in Marco Jacobs. We know what Nick Hugo can do. Carter
Right.
Fields is an absolute freak of nature. Renzo Bryant is a quality defender. I'm going to give him a few more games to figure things out because I can see all the talent there and I can see some things in the works. It's just a matter if he's going to figure it out in time. And then the beauty of SimWorld Prep, at least for this season, is everyone makes the race of one. And I always go back to last season, B-Ron, where Coach Drayton came in, didn't start everything out, did not come out the gates firing on all cylinders. Team did not look great, but by the time he figured it out, and that team, the Beast of the East, were hitting their stride, they won the race to one championship.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Everybody keeps talking about, 10 games, 10 games, get 10 games, and then we'll see, what teams really like, that kind of stuff. And to a degree, I do agree with that statement. Um, the other part of that though is, it takes time for things to gel, but what about after those 10 games? What if things still don't look right after 10 games? Can we start panicking then? Do we panic after 20 games? When is the time to start panicking? And I I you I say all that, and you might think, "Be wrong. Are you telling me it's time to panic yet on Queen City?" No, I don't think we're there yet either. I don't think we are there yet, because for the simple fact of, we know that Coach Skinny is making changes to the team. We know that he's still trying stuff out. This doesn't hold this. There's also, in my opinion, uh levels and degrees to the caliber of team you have, and when you start panicking, do you start panicking, that kind of stuff. And I think Queen City as a team as a whole, with the players they have, are talented enough to get it together, um when they need to get it together at some point, be it next game, or 25 games into the season, when it's really something, when buckle down and get ready for the race to one. Like you said, everyone makes it this season. So I do think that we saw some positives from their last game, and they were in that game for a good chunk of it. So it's not like we're getting blown out by 50. They were in that game for a good chunk of it. So I don't think it's time to panic just yet. But um, when do you start panicking? I think it's getting close to time to start maybe considering turn that up a little bit, turning up the urgency at
I'm
least. Maybe
giving
not
I'm
panic.
I'm giving them three more games. You run three more games. It's got to be figured out in three more games. And for me, like I've said on some of our other shows, the wins do matter. They absolutely matter, but it's what they
Yeah,
look like in these games. They've competed, but it just hasn't been solid all the way through the game. I need to
right.
see them have a solid showing from start to finish before I say they're good to go. But if they get down to a record of 1-7, 1-8, that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, exactly. You're talking about rattling off a serious win streak to get back into being in contention for a top, let's say, top 5 seed, because
Yeah,
those top 5, 6 seeds even are going to be the big
especially in the
difference
South.
in between, who you're playing in that first couple of rounds, because you know, you could be Summer Middle East playing against, let's say, BC East, for example, as a one, and as a 1 seed versus a lower seed in the tournament. That's a big difference there in terms of who you're playing. And matchups is really, and that's when those kind of things matter come tournament time, because that's when it's all about matchups in
Yeah.
particular.
Excellent point, and that's everyone talks about everyone makes the race to one. The seeding does matter. I gave my opinion on the toughest region out there in Neo, but a lot of people believe the southern region is the toughest region, and I am not going to argue. I'm not going to argue with them. So you might want to get your seeding right in this region,
Hmm.
because it is going to be tough.
Absolutely, man. Well, look, you know what else has been tough though? All these players moving around, man. All these players moving around from team to team, coaches moving from team to team, that kind of stuff. We've seen a lot of movement happen over the off season, with recruiting and players moving around, that kind of stuff. And now we just need to figure out, what is going on in terms of how these players are uh, getting along here. You know, Aiden Weaver, in my opinion, is one of those players who switched teams, and I don't think he's I don't think he's thriving with Lone Star like he should be. He left Bad Boys to go to Lone Star in the offseason, and I don't think he's in the right role over there. I think he would have been better served staying with Bad Boys. who are some of your players players or coaches who have switched team, moved teams, and aren't really performing or playing like you expected them to, that kind of thing.
Aiden Weaver's definitely one of them. Knockdown shooter. I think he would have had far more opportunity over there playing with Samuel Bogus and Malcolm Chamberlain on Bad Boys. I think that would have been a really good look for him. He's out there in Lone Star. The ball pretty much flows through Arthur Lattimore. Arthur Lattimore is not necessarily trying to find people out of a double team. No knock against him. It's just not his game. That's not how that system and that team's built. So I think that's been a little something there. Royce Anderson's one. Now look, and I know what I'm gonna catch. I'm gonna catch the flag. I'm gonna get all the heat for this one.
You said Royce Anderson?
Yeah, Royce Anderson.
Okay. Sorry.
Do I think he needed?
I don't
to
know
leave?
why I get him and Pope mixed up all the time. I don't know how I do it, but I do it for some reason. Continue.
No, and hey, and keep that one in the tank because he's coming up next for me. Royce Anderson. Royce Anderson in the ATL, I think he needed to leave Bay Area for sure. Going to ATL and the coaching system they're running there, I still don't think we're seeing the greatest that Royce Anderson has to offer. He's playing 22 minutes a game. A kid of that talent, I want to see him playing 32 minutes, no less than 30. I want him in the game. The only reason that he comes out and has any kind of extended break is because there's not a break in the action for me to get him back in the game. I think he's hurting his. I think his SimWorld use stock could be hurt just a little bit. I think the scouts know his talent either way it goes, but his stock, because he's not getting the kind of minutes that people expected to see, and that was the whole reason he left Bay Area, was to get more shine.
Yeah,
I think that hurts him a little bit. And then you mentioned my other one, Xavier Pope. What is you doing, baby? No, he looks good. He does not look good in the Yachts Club's scheme, in my opinion. He's leading them in scoring at 12 and a half points a game. How does that sound to you? 12 and a half points a game from Xavier Pope. Same scenario as Royce Anderson. Both of them left Bay Area to get more shine. He's playing 23 minutes a game, 12 points a game. And is fighting for shot attempts with like 5 other people. Does that sound like it works for you, B-Ron?
Doesn't sound like it works for me.
Yeah.
Not for me either.
I don't think that was a good move for him. And I don't want to take him up. I have a few other people in mind, B-Ron, but let me hear you have player or coach.
Okay, yeah. So another player I have, Weapon X, Xavier Bryant, going from the Reigning Trays to Queen City, and now he's sitting at what, 2 points, averaging what, 2 points per game or whatever, something like that. That's not good. He's only getting 10 minutes time there. We know about the relationship that him and his brother have and all that, and that's great. But I don't think that was also a good choice for him to leave the Reigning Trays and go to Queen City with his brother. As much as we love to see those kinds of things play out, and I'm a big proponent. I've said that plenty of times that while you're younger and you have kind of the freedom and flexibility, and it's in your control in some regards as to who you play for, if you can play alongside your family, do that by all means. Go ahead. But this is one where looking at it, I'm like, I don't know if this was a good option for him to do so. I think he would have been a good compliment beside Jafet Towns. Help him out some more too. I feel like I don't think this has been a good spot for Xavier this season for Queen City so far. Could be wrong. Still waiting to see if it gets sorted out over there. But right now, it's not a good look for him. And the other one that I have on my list is actually a coach, Jaden Banks, moving from H-Town, the Hoopers, to go coach Run DMV, excuse me. Because purely, one of the reasons that I don't think it was a good idea, and this is probably going to be said for anybody who tried to come in and fill those shoes, but having to fill in for the legacy that Coach Myron Murray left behind, and the pedigree that he had with Run DMV throughout his first season in the Ground Zero season, and then last season as well with Run DMV. I think that those were going to be tough shoes to fill, and I think that staying in H-Town for him would have been a better option. Just also purely because he was only there for, I believe it was only maybe the full season or half of the first season. Didn't really get a full season there, if memory serves right. So to to make that choice to leave and go to Coach One DMV after Coach Murray stepped down and and all that. I don't. It hasn't paid off right now, but of course those things can change, obviously. But I just don't think that was a good decision for him either in that regard.
Agreed. That's all. That's all I got. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. But you said you had some more though.
I mean, you took one of my coaches. Make sure I
Oh,
look
okay,
over.
okay.
Let's look over my notes here real quick. Just make sure I'm good. Hold on, sir. Ah, and look, I may have misplaced
Doing it
all my
live,
notes
man.
here. Yeah, going through everything live here. Cam Jones.
Cam Jones. Okay,
I
okay.
think that was it. That was one that hurt. H Town misses shooting.
Yeah.
They will be killing right
They
now in
do.
that season, despite Bilardi being out. It looked like Bilardi had a system there, and Cam Jones would have eaten. There's nobody to take the pressure off of him
Out.
defensively. Yeah,
It would have
there's
taken the pressure off of Corey Ames too. He wouldn't have had to be so ball dominant. Or and again, and if even if he was, that's when you play the inside out game.
right. And that's what I'm getting at. So for Cam Jones, there's no way to relieve the pressure and the defense on him. They can stick to him like glue out and run DMV because there's no one to force a double team. And that's what a shooter wants, someone to force a double team where you can get open shots, or someone that hurts in a screen and roll or in pin downs where you can come out of them. But I mean, they're a team full of shooters, so everyone just sticks to them like glue. No one's worried about a backdoor court cut, penetration, or post game. So, not the best scenario for him to showcase his skill set, and I'm rooting for him out of H Town. The other one's Jay Laster.
Okay.
The other one's Jay Laster. This one I won't dwell on for too long. Cooper Flag is a dog. OGs are going to be winning. Jay Laster was getting looks, or it still is getting looks from colleges. But between him and Justin McGavin, only one of them is going to be able to exist and thrive next to Cooper Flag, in my opinion. And right now we're trying to see both of them thrive, which defaults to saying, hey, let's just go through Flag. But if that inside-outside game was working with Cooper Flag, who is a willing passer, with Justin McGavin to shoot, or if you say you were running a 1-2 punch with Jay Laster and Cooper Flag, I think that will work a lot better. But there's a lot of talent on that team, and then you have the robot that is Cooper Flag. So I think some different moves could have been made. I think the insertion of Cooper Flag really changed things. Jay Laster went there first, and then you don't
Right. That's what I
pass
was
up
gonna
on a
say
Cooper
too. To
Flag.
add that in there,
Cooper
yeah.
decided where he wanted to go, and you don't turn him down. So
Yeah.
I think that was an interesting move, but hindsight's 2020, and there's no way Jay Laster and his family and his agents would have known anything about that, in my opinion.
Yep. Always is. Always is. Well, look. Let's keep it moving though. We got to talk about Johan Novajovic and his injury. Unfortunately, has had to have leg surgery to replace him, and now is on BTA to figure out who replaces Johan Novajovic over there. And that's a tough thing to figure out. It looks like they have a new player on their roster, Josh Grant, to fill that roster spot. He hasn't played in a SimWorld Prep game yet. He's from Illinois. So we'll see how he fits into the roster there and the team construction. But and I don't know who they really have to fill that role, or who could fill that role. The only looking at the roster, familiar faces like sorry, Daniel Ori come to mind, Nick Bowie come to mind. Those are two who could possibly fill that role, but I think that's expecting a lot from those two kids, especially both of them because they're both struggling really to begin the season. Nobody on the team's averaging over 10 points a game. Closest is Nick Fury at 9.8.
Yeah, I have strong feelings on this. You asked the question. Jovan Novajovic, that's a huge loss. And
Absolutely.
prayers up for the kid. I hope he gets, I hope he heals up because I was definitely looking forward to seeing what his career may end up being down the road. So yeah, Josh Grant. I hear that this kid has some freak athleticism at 6'2", 193. I hear that he can defend. So we'll see. That's a very different kind of player than what Noah Jovic was. But between him and is it Bixby who's out for this team as well?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of guard play missing. Keyshawn Blazingame is a very good player who did not get a whole lot of opportunity to shine last season. 6'4", 185. He can pass. He's a willing facilitator. I like his game. I think he has a future at the pro level. But you know where I'm about to go. Give me more Paul McAdams. Give me and then here's the one that no one probably saw. Give me Keontae McPherson moving towards the basket. He's a bowling ball. He's 6'7", 230 of stop me
Yeah.
from getting to the rim. I would love to see him get more action and get more shots. Those two up in the front, I think, is a lot nastier of a combination than people know. I think Coach Lytle will figure these things out. To be honest, you know how sometimes in the SWBA you see the star player go down, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And then you see the team pull together. You see more of a team oriented basketball. You see people shining in ways that you did not see because the spacing is different. The ball's moving in a different way. And I think
Right.
that's going to be one of the scenarios here. Noah Jovic, great player, but the ball's stuck a little bit. You give him the ball, you let him go to work. He gets to cooking and you get to watching. I think with the
Yeah.
players left on this team right now, I think you're going to see that ball move around. There'll be excitement because kids will get the opportunity to score as opposed to watch. And you may find out they're capable of more than what you initially thought.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's gonna be something to really look at for this team going forward and seeing, what they can figure out, how they can get it done, all that good stuff. And look, we had a fun show today. Thank you all for joining us on SimWorld today. As always, we'll see you all tomorrow for another edition of the show. Remember, as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and remember, SimWorld is the only place where you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you tomorrow.